I caught my husband cheating with my sister in our bed. She deserves to be happy too, my mother defended her. Divorced him and went no contact with my toxic family. Years later, things took a turn. Hello everyone. Thank you for just being here and listening. I'm 41 now, but this story I need to tell you, it starts a long time ago. It's one of those things you try to bury, you know? You pack it away in a box in the attic of your mind, you think you've moved on, you think it's done, and then life finds a way to remind you. Before I begin my story, I'd love to know which city you're joining us from. Please feel free to share in the comments. But let's just start at the beginning. Before my life, before it imploded. I was happy. I was genuinely happy. I was married to my husband, Derek, for 6 years. We'd been together since I was 21, so he was my life. My whole adult world was built with him. And our relationship, I would have told anyone who asked, was strong. Rock solid. I mean, of course, we had the usual couple drama through our 20s. We had arguments about money, whose turn it was to take out the trash, where to spend Christmas, the stupid little things. But we always talked it through. We'd grown from it. We had what I truly believed was a loving, supportive relationship. We had this little routine on Fridays. It was my favorite. I'd get home from my job at the admin office, and I'd walk in and he'd already be in the kitchen. He'd have some classic rock playing, just low enough, and he'd have a glass of wine already poured for me on the counter. We'd cook dinner together, bumping into each other, stealing kisses. We'd just exist in the same space. It was easy. It was comfortable. It was everything I thought I wanted. All was well. It was truly, genuinely well, until about 8 months before the end. That was when my sister, Brenda, moved back to our hometown. Brenda is, she's my sister. She's 4 years younger than me, 28 at the time. She had been living in Florida ever since she was 18. She ran off to college down there, got a taste of the beach life, and just never came back. We weren't close, as you'll soon find out, but she was still my little sister. I still had that instinct to, protect her. The reason she came back? Her long-term boyfriend dumped her. And when I say dumped, I mean dumped. It wasn't a let's talk about this breakup. He apparently moved to a new city, changed his number, blocked her on everything, and left her completely destitute. She had no job, no money, and nowhere to go but home to our parents. The circumstances, they were always murky. My mom, Janice, called me, crying, telling me the horrible news. When Brenda got back, she was all tears and drama, telling us this horrible story about how he'd been cheating on her. But not just cheating, she told us, in between sobs, that he had been cheating with men. Now, I didn't really know the guy that well. I'd only met him maybe 3 times in their entire 5 years together. Brenda would only come home for Christmas, and usually just for 3 or 4 days, max. He came with her twice. He was quiet. The only other time I met him was when Derek and I visited them for one single day during our vacation to Florida 3 years ago. And I don't know. He just didn't strike me as the guy who would have this secret double life. He seemed boring, honestly. Quiet. An accountant or something. But he seemed to adore her. The story just sounded far-fetched. And to just leave her with nothing? It felt incomplete. I tried to reach out to him once, just a simple hey, Brenda's home, just wanted to see if she was okay or if she needed help getting her things shipped. And I found I was blocked. On everything. So, I just let it go. It wasn't my business. She was my sister, she was hurting, and she was home. That was all that mattered. Or so I thought. Brenda, of course, moved back in with my parents, Janice and Warren. She moved right back into her old childhood bedroom, with the posters still on the wall. For the first month, she was a complete wreck. Or at least, that's the performance she gave. She just lay in bed and cried, and my mom told me she just couldn't get her to eat a thing. She was struggling to find work, and I felt bad for her. I really did. Despite our history, despite the fact that we were never close, that's your little sister, you know? You see someone in your family hurting, and you want to help. So, I did. I suggested that maybe Derek could help her out. He's a higher up at his engineering company, a department manager. He had a good salary, he was respected. I figured he would have some pull, or at least know someone who was hiring. He did. He went out of his way, actually. He said, "Of course, honey, anything for your family." He called in a favor and was able to get her a position in his own department. It was an entry-level admin job, just processing invoices and scheduling, but it was in her field, and it was a good company with great benefits and a path for promotion. I thought I'd done a great thing. I was so proud. I thought I was being a good big sister, finally bridging the gap between us. What an absolute fool I was. To give you some background, Brenda and I, as I said, have never been very close. She is the golden child. Capital T, capital G, capital C. At least, to our mom, Janice. And our dad, Warren, he's just spineless. He's spineless when it comes to our mom. If Janice says the sky is green, Warren will squint and say, "You know, dear, I think I see a tint of mint." He just wants a quiet life. The favoritism wasn't one big, obvious thing. It was just a million little paper cuts over a lifetime. I'll give you the classic examples. We both got cars when we turned 16. I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon. It was a faded blue, the paint peeling on the hood. The driver's side door didn't open from the outside, so I had to climb in the passenger side all winter, hiking my skirt up, feeling like an idiot. But I was just grateful to have wheels. Brenda, 2 years later? She got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Cherry red. Convertible. Her dance practices, her outfits, her competitions, they cost thousands and thousands of dollars over the years. My parents' entire lives revolved around her dance schedule. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, in another state. My parents would pack up the car, never batting an eye, book a hotel, and drive her all weekend, cheering in the front row. Meanwhile, when I would ask for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college, in our own town, they would give it to me, but you would have thought I was asking them to build me my own arena. The size. The "Are you sure you need this?" from my mom. The "We'll have to see about the budget" from my dad. It was exhausting. I stopped asking. But the thing that pissed me off the most, the thing that I still remember. When I was 17, I was out with my boyfriend. I lost track of time. My phone died. It was stupid, teenage stuff. I was 15 minutes past my midnight curfew. 15 minutes. I came home to my parents sitting in the dark living room, my mother's face like thunder. They took my car keys for a whole month. A month. The next year, my sister, the golden child, came home 2 hours late. She rolled in at 2 a.m. I was awake. I heard the door. And she reeked of pot. I could smell it from my room down the hall. What did she get? A stern talking to. My mom told her she was very disappointed and to please not do that again, sweetie. So, you can understand, I wasn't exactly sad when she left for college in Florida and decided to stay there. The distance was healthy. For me, anyway. But now she was back. And thanks to me, she was working, side by side, with my husband. Despite all that history, when she first started working at Derek's company, she began spending more and more time at our house. And at first, I thought it was nice. Genuinely. She'd come over right after work with Derek, since they were carpooling. I thought, maybe she's finally growing up. Maybe she's grateful. Maybe she's making an effort to be closer to me. We'd all have a drink. I'd be in the kitchen chopping vegetables for dinner, and they'd be sitting at the island, and I'd listen to them talk about their day. It was nice. For about a week. Then I started to notice, they were getting familiar. Rather familiar with each other. They would talk about seemingly anything at length. I'd be in the kitchen, and they'd be on the couch, laughing. Just laughing, heads close together, their voices low. They started having their own inside jokes. That's the worst, isn't it? Feeling like the third wheel in your own home. I'd walk in from the kitchen with a bowl of chips or something, and they'd be giggling. I'd smile and ask, "What's so funny?" And one of them, usually Brenda, would wave a hand, still smiling, and say, "Oh, it's nothing. Just a work thing. You wouldn't get it. Just a work thing." That became the answer for everything. I'd try to join the conversation. I'd ask Derek about his day, and Brenda would answer for him. "Oh my God, Derek, you have to tell her what happened with the Peterson account today." "No, wait, you won't get it. Basically, this guy in accounting." And they'd be off again, talking in acronyms and using names I didn't know. I'd just sit there, smiling, feeling my stomach slowly tighten into a cold, hard knot. I felt stupid. I felt like I was back in high school, and my friend was ignoring me for the cooler kid. When I asked my husband about it, alone in bed, in the dark, he just brushed it off. He laughed, actually. "Honey, come on," he said, pulling me closer. "Don't be silly. We just have a lot in common. We're working on several big projects together. It's just nice to decompress with someone who gets the office politics." He'd kiss my forehead. "She's your sister. Don't be weird." And I believed him. I did. I wanted to believe him. Because the alternative was, it was unthinkable. It was monstrous. So I told myself I was the problem. I was being jealous. I was being insecure. The first real, stomach-dropping, "this is not in my head" red flag came about a month into this. As I mentioned, Brenda would often be at our house when I got home from work. Derek and I have different work schedules. He has a traditional 8 to 4:30 workday. I work 10 to 7. This meant he had a full 2.5 hours at home, alone, before I ever walked in the door. At first, she was there maybe once a week. Then twice. Then it was pretty much every single day. I'd pull into the driveway, and her little red Eclipse would be parked right behind Derek's truck. When I'd walk in, they'd be at the kitchen table, laptops open, papers spread out. "Just had to finish this report," Brenda would chirp, all bright and breezy. "It's a nightmare." It was weird, but plausible. Right? They were in the same department. They were carpooling. What was I going to say? "You can't work on work at my house?" I'd sound crazy. 2 months ago, this was 2 months before my world exploded. I noticed something. Something that had me questioning my own sanity. I'm a little particular. I'm tidy. I make the bed every single day before I leave for work. It's just part of my routine. I can't stand coming home to an unmade bed. And I have a specific way I do it. I am meticulous. I always make it so the open side of the pillowcase is toward the edge of the bed. Both sides. It just looks neater. I came home that day. It was a Tuesday. I remember it was raining, one of those cold, miserable fall days. Brenda's car was in the driveway. I walked in, shaking off my umbrella. The house was quiet. "Hello?" I called out. "In the kitchen," Derek yelled. I walked in, and they were in the kitchen, making tea, laughing about something. It was normal. "Hey, you!" Brenda chirped, like she owned the place. "Rough day?" "Yeah, traffic was awful," I said, putting my bag down. Everything seemed normal. She ate dinner with us. She stayed and watched TV with us. Then she went back to my parents' house around 9. Derek and I went to get in bed. I was tired. I pulled back the comforter and I just froze. Two of the pillows, his pillow and one of the decorative shams, had the pillowcases on wrong. The open end was facing toward the middle of the bed. My blood ran cold. It was like a physical shock. I just stood there, staring. My mind was racing, trying to find an explanation. I didn't do that. I know I didn't. I had a clear memory of making the bed that morning. Tucking the corners, smoothing the comforter, and fixing the pillows. I did not do that. I tried to be calm. I turned to my husband, who was in the bathroom brushing his teeth. "Derek," I said, my voice sounding strange and thin to my own ears. "Hey, were you in bed at all today? Like, did you take a nap?" He came out, toothbrush in his mouth, and looked at me. He looked a little shook. Just for a second. A flicker of panic in his eyes. But he recovered fast. "No," he mumbled around the phone. "Why do you ask?" "The bed, it's not the same as I made it this morning." He laughed. He actually laughed at me. A nervous, "you're being silly" laugh. He rinsed and spit. "Honey, what are you talking about? You must have just been in a hurry this morning and made it wrong. You were running late." "No," I said, my voice stronger now, my stomach churning. "I wasn't. Two of the pillows are turned around. The open ends are in the middle." He sighed. That heavy, "you're being difficult" sigh. The one that always made me feel small. "Well, then you must have been mistaken. Because no one was in the bed. It was just me and Brenda here, working at the kitchen table. Are you feeling okay? You've been seeming a little stressed." Gaslighting. He was standing right there, in his boxers, telling me that what I knew to be true, with my own 2 eyes, was wrong. That I was the one who was wrong. I looked through his phone that night after he fell asleep. I felt disgusting doing it. I felt like a crazy, paranoid, jealous wife. My hands were shaking. And I found nothing. Nothing on his laptop either. But then again, they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. They carpooled. They hung out at my house after work, alone, for 2.5 hours. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was losing my mind. I actually, truly, thought I might be going crazy. I tried to put the pillow incident out of my mind. I really did. I told myself I was stressed. I told myself I must have made a mistake, as impossible as it seemed. I told myself I was being jealous and insecure, and that I was going to push my husband away with this crazy behavior. I mean, this was Derek. My Derek. The man who poured my wine on Fridays. And my sister. It was impossible. For the next 2 weeks, I was on high alert. I was a nervous wreck. Every little laugh, every shared glance, it was like torture. I was analyzing every single interaction. But I had no proof. Just this sick, gnawing, acidic feeling in my gut. Then, 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us over for a Sunday dinner. Just a normal family dinner. Derek, me, Brenda. It was fine. It was going fine. I was tense, but I was trying. I was trying so hard to be normal. My mom, Janice, was gushing about Brenda's big promotion. My dad, Warren, was quiet, as usual, reading the sports section. We were all in the kitchen, grabbing plates for the pot roast. It was crowded. I was standing by the stove, getting some gravy. Derek was simply walking by me to get to the fridge for a beer. And I saw it. Brenda was standing near the fridge, and as Derek walked by, she lightly, casually, grabbed his arm. It wasn't a "hey, excuse me" tap. She held his arm. He turned to her. She leaned in, a little smirk on her face, and she whispered something in his ear. I couldn't hear what she said. And then, they touched foreheads. It was only for a second. A single, fleeting second. But it was the most intimate gesture I had ever seen. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't sisterly. It was possessive. It was secret. It was something else. Derek jolted up, like he suddenly remembered where he was. He had a look of panic. His eyes darted around, and he saw me. Watching. He froze. His face went pale. He didn't say anything. He snatched his arm away, grabbed his beer, and kept walking out to the living room. Brenda, that bitch. She just kind of looked at me, right in the eyes, and she smiled. A slow, knowing, triumphant smile. Then she turned back to what she was doing, as if nothing had happened. I'm not an idiot. I knew what I saw. This was a mountain of red flags, and I was standing at the very top, and the air was thin, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't want to believe it. This was my husband. The man I had been in love with since I was 21 years old. My hands were shaking. I put my plate down. I couldn't eat. I feigned a migraine and told Derek I wanted to go home. The car ride was silent. He kept asking, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" He sounded nervous. And I couldn't even look at him. I just stared out the passenger window, the image of their foreheads touching, burning, behind my eyes. I knew I couldn't confront him there. Not in our home. Our home was already tainted. I needed to get him away. Away from her, away from my parents, away from his work. I planned a weekend getaway to the city for the following weekend. I told him I wanted to reconnect. I said I felt like we'd been distant. He agreed. He seemed relieved. He probably thought I was just stressed. I really hoped, against all hope, that it wasn't what I was thinking. The weekend came. I packed a bag. I felt numb. I felt like I was walking a plank. I kept telling myself, he'll have a good explanation. It was a misunderstanding. The pillows, the jokes, the touch, it's all in my head. We went on our adventure. We drove to the city. We checked into the hotel. It was a nice room, high up. And Friday night was perfect. It was the cruelest part of it all. We had drinks at the hotel bar. We laughed. We went to a nice restaurant. We danced to a live band. We came back to the room and we were intimate. And that part almost broke me. Because it was good. It was us. It was the Derek I knew. It was the man I loved. And I held on to that. I really thought he couldn't be doing that with her, and this with me. I was so desperate to be wrong. I almost didn't say anything. I almost just let it go. I decided, in that moment, to just believe his lies, because the truth was too horrifying to even consider. I was so wrong. The next day, Saturday, we had more things planned. A museum, a nice lunch. We were almost ready to start our day. We were in the hotel room. It was bright, sunny. He was lacing up his shoes, humming, and I was just standing by the window, looking out at the city, my stomach in 1,000 knots. I couldn't do it. I couldn't live in the lie. I couldn't pretend for one more second. I turned around. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. My palms were sweating. I point-blank asked him. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. Derek. Are you having an affair with my sister? He stopped tying his shoe. He just froze. He didn't look up. Not at first. The silence in the room was deafening. It stretched for an eternity. Then, slowly, he raised his head. He teared up. His face crumpled. His eyes were red. And he said, yes. Just. Yes. My heart, it didn't just break. It crushed. It turned to dust. I physically had to hold onto the wall because my legs gave out. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor. I couldn't breathe. I asked him, why? My voice was just a whisper. He started crying then. Sobbing. Ugly, heaving sobs. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. We just clicked. She understands me. And before I knew it, we were kissing. And then it was more. I had to know. I had to know the worst of it. The pillows, I whispered, staring at the hotel carpet. That day, with the pillows. Were you sleeping with her? In our bed? Before I got home from work? He couldn't even look at me. He just turned his head away in shame. And that was it. That was all I needed. I left at that point. I stood up. My legs felt like they were made of sand. I had nothing with me but my purse. I didn't grab my suitcase. I didn't grab my makeup bag. Nothing. I walked out of the hotel room, left him there crying on the floor, went to the garage, got in my car, and I drove home. That 3-hour drive home was the longest, emptiest, most agonizing drive of my life. I don't remember most of it. I remember my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles were white. The tears just streamed down my face, silent. I couldn't even sob. I was just hollowed out. I was in shock. I remember staring at the highway, at the trees blurring past, and just nothing. The radio was off. The world was silent, except for the sound of my own heart breaking over and over again. I got home to our house. My house. It was empty. It was quiet. It smelled like us. Like our life. I walked into our bedroom, my bedroom, and I just stood there. I looked at the bed. Our bed. The bed he had just confessed to defiling with my sister. I went into the bathroom and I was sick. I just knelt on the cold tile floor and threw up until there was nothing left. Then, I got up. I felt mechanical. I went to the linen closet. I grabbed a trash bag. I walked into the bedroom and I ripped all the sheets off the bed. The pillows, the comforter, the shams. Everything. I stuffed them into the trash bag. I didn't care how expensive they were. They were contaminated. I took the bag out to the garage and threw it in the bin. I sat on the couch, in the quiet, in the dark, for hours. I waited. He got an Uber and arrived a few hours later with my other things. He walked in, his eyes all red and puffy. He started in again. Please, we can talk about this. I'm so sorry. We can fix this. I didn't acknowledge him. I didn't even look at him. I just sat on the couch, staring at the blank TV, my tears still falling. I couldn't speak. There was nothing to say. What could he possibly say? He knew. He finally understood. He tried to apologize again, but I didn't even look at him. Through my tears, I just pointed at the door. He packed a bag. He just packed a bag. I listened to the sounds. The zip of the suitcase. The drawers opening and closing. The footsteps. And then he left. He left for a hotel. Just like that. The next day, that was a Sunday. I told my parents. I had to. I don't know why. I guess I still thought they were my parents. I thought they would be on my side. I drove to their house. I felt like a zombie. I sat them down at their kitchen table, the same table where I'd watched my sister smile at me just a week before. I told them. Derek and I are separating. He's been having an affair with Brenda. And they already knew. They didn't look shocked. They didn't gasp. They just looked sad. But not shocked. My mother, Janice, just sighed and reached across the table to pat my hand. We're so sorry, honey, she said, her voice all soft. We're just so sorry about what happened. We told her it was a bad idea. They knew. My dad just stared at his coffee cup. He didn't say a word. They told me Brenda, had left last night, in a hurry. She was so upset, my mom said. She might not be back for a few days. I'm sure she went to stay with Derek at his hotel. I'm sure of it. That all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost final. Derek found an apartment to rent right away, and just as I suspected, Brenda moved in with him. The next few weeks were a blur of logistics. The worst kind. I hired a lawyer immediately. The first one I could find. I walked into his office, still numb, and just told him the story. He was kind, but very practical. First things first, he said. Do you have a joint savings account? I nodded. Go to the bank. Right now. Withdraw 50%. Put it in a new account in your name only. That is your half. Do not touch his half. I did it. I felt like I was in a movie. At first, Derek was cooperative. He was drowning in guilt. He called me, crying, I don't want anything. You can just have the house. You can have the savings. All of it. I just want you to not hate me. I think this was the guilt talking. Deep, overwhelming guilt. But that didn't last long. After a few days, I got a call from his lawyer. He'd hired one. Suddenly, his tone changed. He said that we would have to split the house. We'd have to sell it. He is entitled to his half of the equity, his lawyer said. I know this was Brenda. I know it was her, in his ear, telling him not to be a fool. Telling him what he was entitled to. I had already moved my half of the savings, so there was no fight there. But the house we built together, the house I'd painted, the garden I'd planted. I had to sell it. Just like that, 9 years of my life, my entire adult identity, gone. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. She is a narcissist. I've known it my whole life. and she will throw him away, just like she did that guy in Florida, as soon as she's bored or as soon as she finds someone with a better salary or a nicer car. But Brenda, she couldn't just win. She had to rub it in. She had to spike the football. A few days after I found out, I was just scrolling. Mindlessly. Numbly. I'd re-downloaded Facebook, I don't even know why. Just looking for something. And I saw a notification. She had tagged me in a Facebook post. My heart stopped. I clicked it. It was a selfie of her and Derek. He was standing behind her, his arms wrapped around her, giving her a kiss on the cheek. She was beaming, a cat that got the cream smile. And the caption read, "Feeling loved." It was disgusting. It was a knife, and she was twisting it. Intentionally. I logged out of my account. I deleted the app off my phone. I couldn't breathe. I felt that same sickness from the hotel room. But she wasn't done. Oh, no. An hour later, she texted me. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. "Hey sis. Saw you saw my post. Sorry, didn't mean to tag you. LOL. My finger must have slipped. No hard feelings, I hope? We can still be close, right? You'll meet your soulmate someday too. Red heart." I blocked her. I blocked her number. I blocked her on everything I could think of. My phone, my email, every social media. No hard feelings? My parents haven't been any better. They pretended to be sympathetic in the beginning. Those first few days, my mom brought over a casserole. A casserole. A cold, congealed tuna noodle casserole. Like that fixed anything. She sat in my kitchen that was about to be sold, and wrung her hands. I just don't know what to do, she'd say. I'm caught in the middle. You're caught in the middle? But their true colors, they came out fast. When I told them, finally, that the divorce was happening and that I was going full no contact with Brenda and Derek, my mother, Janice, looked at me with those sad, disappointed eyes. Honey, I'm sorry this happened, she said, stirring her tea. It shouldn't have happened this way. But, your sister, she's been through a lot. She deserves to be happy, too. I just stared at her. I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. Happy? She deserves to be happy? By blowing up my marriage? By sleeping with my husband in my own bed? Well, these things happen, she said, shrugging. A little, tiny shrug. The heart wants what it wants. They clicked. You'll meet someone new. You're still young. And then we can put all this behind us and be a family again. Be a family? I was screaming now. I couldn't help it. The numbness was gone, and it was just pure, hot rage. There is no family. You don't have a family anymore. Not with me. I got really upset. I told them what Brenda had tagged me in. I showed them the text she sent me. I said, this is who you're protecting. This vile person. My mother just sniffed. Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway. You know social media is just poison. She's just young and in love. She's not thinking. My father. Warren. He hasn't said a thing this whole time. He just sits there, reading the paper, like this is just a normal Tuesday conversation. I asked him once. I turned to him, desperate. Dad? Please. What do you think? Do you think this is okay? He just folded his paper. He set it down. He wouldn't look at me. He just said, I agree with your mother. Then he got up and walked out of the room. I am going full no contact with them as well. The house will sell soon. The divorce papers are being finalized. I'm moving to a different state. I am not telling any of my family, Janice, Warren, Brenda, where or when. I haven't told them that's my plan. I'm just done. I'm done with all of them. I wish them all the worst. Hi everybody. Wow. I know it's been 4 years since I last told that part of the story to anyone. That first part, that was from a long time ago. But we had a major situation happen, and I just have to get this out. I'll start by giving you an update on myself. I'm recently engaged. Yeah. I know. It took a lot of therapy. A lot. An ocean of therapy. To get myself back out there. When I first moved, I moved to Minnesota. I threw a dart at a map, basically. I packed up what was left of my life, my clothes, my books, the few pieces of furniture that weren't ours, and I drove for 15 hours. I just drove. I got settled in my new apartment. It was small, a 1-bedroom, but it was mine. I signed the lease with my name. I bought my own furniture. I spent the first 6 months just existing. I'd go to my new job, just a simple data entry job, nothing stressful, just something to pay the bills, and I'd come home. I'd make dinner for one. I'd sit on my new couch and watch TV. I cried a lot. I'd be in the middle of Target, trying to buy laundry detergent, and I'd just start crying. I finally started going to therapy to process all the trauma. And it was trauma. My therapist was amazing. We unpacked the trauma from the betrayal by my husband and my sister, but also the abandonment. The abandonment by my parents. That one cut deeper, in a way. The divorce was one thing. But my parents. I tried dating. Oh, God, did I try. After about a year, my therapist encouraged me. I went on one okay first date. We had coffee. It was fine. And then, on the second date, he started talking about his crypto investments and chewed with his mouth open, and I got shown just how much of an insufferable ass he was. I literally faked an emergency phone call and left. I swore off men forever after that. That's when I really dove into therapy. It was a hard year. A lot of tears. A lot of anger. But I met James. Well, his name is Mitchell. He's 37. And yes, he has the same first name as my dad. Warren's middle name is James, which is ironic. But Mitchell is wonderful. He's nothing like my father. He's a chef. He and his fraternal twin brother, Russell, own a restaurant and bar here, and it's doing very well. We met, this is so corny, we met when I was eating at the bar of his restaurant, reading a book, just treating myself. He came over and asked me what I was reading. He made me laugh. A real, genuine laugh. It felt like my lungs were filling up with air for the first time in years. He's kind, he's funny, he's present. When I talk, he listens. I'm very excited to start a future with Mitchell. Okay. Enough about me. Now, I want to tell you about the audacity my family had. Roughly 9 months after I left, 9 months after I just vanished. I had been totally no contact. I changed my number. I deleted my old email. I did not tell them where I moved to. I only told some very trusted friends and a couple of cousins I was close to. One day, I got home to my little apartment and I found a wedding invitation in the mail. It was thick, cream-colored. It was for the wedding of Derek and Brenda. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely open it. The invitation included a gross, over-the-top picture of them hugging in a sunflower field. Her, in a white dress. Him, in a suit. Looking happy. But that wasn't the worst part. There was also a letter. From my parents. It basically read like this: "We know you're still upset, but you need to forgive and put all this behind us. We know things didn't go the best, but we're a family, and families work through problems." And then, this line. They also claimed Brenda really wanted me to be a bridesmaid. Just like she was for you, my mom wrote. What the actual F? That letter, it reopened all sorts of old wounds. At the time, I wasn't strong like I am now. I fell apart. I spent the whole weekend in bed, crying. My therapist got a lot more business because of it. Today, I find it hilarious. The sheer, unmitigated gall. But then? Not so much. I did not respond, of course. I burned the invitation in my kitchen sink. The only thing I did was figure out which part of my extended family let my ex-family know my address, and I cut them off, too. That brings us to the most recent drama. Last week. Derek. Of all people. Derek showed up at my apartment. Mitchell and I don't live together yet, but that will be changing soon. It was a Wednesday night. I was just getting home from work, carrying groceries. I was fumbling with my keys, and I heard someone say my name. I turned around, and there he was. Just loitering in my hallway. My blood turned to ice. I dropped my bag of groceries. An apple rolled down the hall. He looked good. And that pissed me off. He looked too good. Like he was trying to look his best. Good suit, new haircut. He looked successful. I just stared at him. What are you doing here, Derek? How did you find me? He gave me this sad, pathetic smile. It wasn't easy. Please. I just want to talk, he said. Please. I'm so sorry for what I did. It's a little late for that, I said, my voice shaking. I was furious. I know, but Brenda and I are divorcing. I just blinked. I didn't say anything. I just bent down and started picking up my groceries. I figured out she was unfaithful, he said, like he was the victim. Our whole marriage. Can you believe it? Surprise. I stood up, holding my broken bag of groceries. Actually, yes, Derek. I can believe it. Now get out of my building. Look, he said, taking a step closer. I took a step back. I don't expect you to take me back. I know that's impossible. But we should talk. We should get some closure. For both of our sakes. Closure. The word that cheaters use when they want to feel better about themselves. I did a double blink. He had lost his mind. I looked him right in the eye. No. What? No. I give you no closure. You get no closure. You made your own bed, Derek. Did you really think that golden hoe of hers, that has had more visitors than the Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? His face, oh, it was priceless. It was shock and anger and shame. You're even dumber than I thought, I said, my voice as cold as ice. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I am better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go to hell. Then I turned, unlocked my door, went into my apartment, and slammed the door and locked it behind me. I immediately called my landlady. She is the sweetest old lady in the world, a woman named Mrs. Peterson. I've gotten kind of close to her over these 4 years, and she knows the vague details about my previous marriage. I just told her my ex-husband is in the hall, and I'm scared. Derek was still just standing out in the hallway. Loitering. He knocked a few times. Please. Just talk to me. A few minutes later, her 2 huge nephews, who help maintain the apartment grounds, were there. They are large men. They let Derek know, in no uncertain terms, that he was not welcome here. He was on a ban list, and if he returned, the police would be called for trespassing. I was hoping that would be the end of it. It wasn't. I have a fairly easy 9 to 5 work schedule now. Because of that, I go to the restaurant almost any night Mitchell is managing. I don't get in the way. I hang out at a small table in the back. I have my laptop, I do some work, I read a book, I enjoy the few minutes here and there he can give me when he's not busy. I've become good friends with a lot of the staff, which includes a lot of Mitchell and Russell's family. Their uncles are bartenders, their cousins are servers. It's really the family environment I always wished I had. It's loud and warm, and everyone is always in each other's business, but in a good way. In a caring way. I am there the next night. It was a slow Tuesday. I'm at my usual table, just answering some emails. And he walks in. Derek. He walks right in, spots me, and just comes and sits at my table. Uninvited. Mitchell, God bless him, has radar. He noted it immediately. He was over in a flash, standing right behind me, putting a hand on my shoulder. Is everything okay here? He asked, his voice low and calm, but hard. He recognized Derek from the few photos I had shown him. Derek, that tool. He actually looked up at Mitchell and stuck his hand out. Hi, I'm Derek. Mitchell just looked at his hand. He didn't take it. He just looked at me. Want me to kick him out? I thought about it. But I was curious. I said, not yet. I've got a question or two. Derek perked up. Like he was winning or something. What a tool. I asked him, tell me what happened. Between you and Brenda. I'll admit, it's pure, morbid curiosity. He settled in, like this was a therapy session. Well, he said, sighing dramatically. She was having at least 2 affairs. With married men. Can you believe that? Old habits die hard, I guess. This was 2 years in. It was a tough time for me. Eyes roll, I interrupted. You are not that dumb, though. You're a coward and a cheat, but you're not dumb. Did you protect yourself? Or did she get half of all your stuff? What about that promotion you got? Did she get half of your new salary? Your divorce, how did it shake out? Derek replied, and he was smug. I could see the pride in his face. I stuck it out almost another year with her. After I found out. So I could start stowing away savings and sold off some assets. In the end, after I hired a good lawyer, she got a fraction of what she would have. She didn't get nearly what she thought she would. Good for you, I said, flatly. And what happened to her then? Derek replied, she had to move back in with your parents. Again. I smiled. I couldn't help it. It was just perfect. The perfect, pathetic, full circle moment. Yes, I said, gathering my things. Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. You can go now. I looked up at Mitchell. You heard him. Out of my restaurant. Derek looked panicked. But no! I want to. I want to apologize. I want. No! I cut him off. No forgiveness. No closure. I just wanted to know that my loser sister was back living at home, dependent on our parents, right back where she started. Get out. Mitchell stood up straight and just pointed at the door. Out. Derek looked around and saw he was being glared at by the bartender, Mitchell's uncle, and 2 members of the waitstaff, who are his cousins. He stood, tucked his tail, and turned towards the door. Mitchell started, and if you ever come back. Derek quickly interjected, yeah, I know. Cops. Trespassing. And he scurried out. After he was gone, I got checked on by almost everyone around. It was nice, and a little embarrassing. My future in-laws, Mitchell's parents, who I adore, called me. They heard what happened and demanded I stay with Mitchell for the next couple of days, just to be safe. It was so sweet. I have never had a family look after me like this. I didn't hear from Derek again. And hopefully, I never will. Hi everybody. Well, I didn't think it would happen, but I have another update for you all. Life is just wild. First, an update on me. I am now a 41-year-old mother of 2 boys. A 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. Mitchell and I are doing really well. We got married. We bought a house. I am now a part-time office manager for the restaurants, yes, restaurants, plural. Mitchell's cousin, Russell, bought into the business, and we opened a second location 3 years ago. It's been a lot more work, but with the 3 of them staying heavily involved in both locations, we are successful. And it affords each of them some level of personal time. And yes, it wasn't ideal, but I'm pretty sure I got pregnant with our first son while staying with Mitchell when his parents demanded I do so, right after that last posting. They now joke they always wanted to be grandparents and it was all part of their plan. I have a real family. A loud, loving, wonderful, protective family. My life it's good. It's so good. Now, for the update. After the last time, when Derek tracked me down, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or sister showed up. It didn't happen right away. I eased up some, as I felt I had a full support system. I even rejoined social media, very carefully. I blocked them all preemptively, but I knew. I stayed no contact with much of my family, including the extended family. But I also didn't have any illusions that they wouldn't be able to find me if they tried. It wasn't until after our first son was born that I got my first message. It was from my mom, Janice. A new Facebook account, with a picture of her cat as the profile. She gave a half-hearted apology. Said something about forgiveness and time healing all wounds. And then she inquired about her grandson. Her grandson. I was just going to block her. I was just going to hit delete. But the implication, the audacity, the implication that my child, my perfect, innocent baby boy, was her grandchild. I found it insulting. So, I replied. Just once. You do not have any grandchildren. I am not your daughter. And thus, my children have no relation to you. If you want grandchildren, then you should encourage Brenda to get out there and do what she does best. At that point, I blocked her. She made new accounts. She tried contacting me for a while, but I always just declined or deleted any requests or messages. That brings me to the recent drama. About a month ago, I was getting bombarded. I mean, bombarded. Requests, messages, emails from new accounts. All from my parents. It was a full-on sob story. We miss you. We're getting older. We just want to see our grandsons. We want to make amends before it's too late. I really didn't care. I had no intention of ever including them in my life again. My sons had grandparents. Wonderful grandparents. Mitchell's parents. Then, the more shocking thing occurred. Brenda. Brenda started reaching out to me. From new numbers. New emails. She wasn't saying much. Other than she very much wanted to speak to me. Please, she wrote. Please, just one call. It's important. I need to apologize. This went on for about 3 weeks. Just constant. Finally, I agreed. I don't know why. Morbid curiosity, I guess. The same reason I talked to Derek in the restaurant. I wanted to see what the new scam was. I agreed to a Zoom meeting. I set the terms, just me. No kids. My kids will not be on this call. Do you understand? The second I see a child, or you ask, the call is over. They agreed. When the call started, it was jarring. It was my mom, my dad, and Brenda, all huddled around a laptop in my parents' living room. The same living room I'd been screamed at in. And Brenda looked terrible. Just awful. Her skin was sallow, a horrible yellowish gray. She had dark circles under her eyes. She looked 50. My parents just looked old. Old and tired and beaten down. They kept asking to see the kids. Right away. Oh, just a peek? We just want to see our grandsons. I was steadfast. No. That is not happening. I told you. You have 3 grandparents, and their names are Mitchell's mom, dad, and grandma. That's it. I kind of was getting the idea that this was about something else. As we started to talk, they began apologizing. For everything. Even Brenda. She was crying. Real, ugly tears. I was wrong, she choked out. I was so wrong to do what I did. I was a horrible person. I was selfish. I wish I could have my sister back. It was a laughable thought. Mom then took over and went into her usual garbage. We're a family. We should be looking out for each other. Forgiveness it's what families do. When she was done, I just looked at them. Is that all you got? I'm going to go. And oh, wait, they all yelled. And the facade dropped. Just shuddered. The real reason was about to come out. Apparently, Brenda has been having health issues for the last couple of years. For whatever reason, her kidneys are failing. And she needs a transplant. That's why. That's why they so persistently tried to get in touch with me. A family member is the most likely to be a viable match. I just stared at the screen. I didn't say anything. I asked them directly, "This is why you call me? After all these years? You want me to save her?" My voice was flat. Cold. My husband wasn't enough? Now she needs a body part from me, too? My mother, Janice, snapped. All the fake tears were gone. Stop being like this. All of that was a long time ago. She began choking up and crying, real, desperate tears this time. I get it. You hate us. But she is going to die if she doesn't get a transplant soon. Is that what you want? Is it? Do you want your sister to die? I know you think she wronged you in the worst way, she sobbed, but please. Just this once. Can we set that aside? I got quiet. I just wanted to see what else they would say. How deep this hole went. Eventually, my dad. Warren, he actually started to talk. Look, he said, rubbing his face. He looked broken. We're sorry for all that happened. But we got some pretty big problems. Between her medical bills and her not being able to work, your mom and I are getting older. We've got our own problems. We got a lot of issues. He looked right at the camera. We need you to come back to Missouri and see if you are a match. But we also could use some help. Or we might lose the house. We're behind on the mortgage. I laughed. A short bark of a laugh. So, you need my kidney. And my money. Don't put it like that, he replied, weakly. Brenda chimed in then, her voice a pathetic whine. Please, just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not a match, we will never contact you again. I promise. I looked at their three desperate, pathetic faces. And I told them, I need to think about it. I need to do some research. I took a deep breath. I'll tell you tomorrow. I ended the call and went to speak to my husband. Mitchell. I told him everything. He listened. He held my hand. He didn't tell me what to do. And when I was done, he told me he supported me 100%, whichever way I went. Then he asked, should we all travel as a family? Or should just I come with you? I said no to both. No. I'm going to go. And I'm going on my own. I let my former family know that I would get lab results here, in Minnesota. I told them I wasn't traveling on a maybe. And if I was a match, then I'd come there, and we could talk about everything else. About a week later, I got the results from the lab. It appeared Brenda and we were a perfect match. I agreed to come back home. To St. Charles. By the time I arrived, Brenda had begun to have some issues and needed to be admitted to the hospital. Honestly, this was a relief. I had booked a hotel. I had no intention of staying with my parents. This development got everyone off my back about meeting for dinner or coming to the house. I had no intention of doing anything social with these people. Especially since any time they seemed to have a free minute, my parents were inquiring. I'd get a text from my mom, since you're in town, have you thought about, helping us get caught up? Just a little bit? On our financial struggles? We're just drowning, honey. It was disgusting. They managed to stabilize Brenda. I went to the hospital to meet with the transplant doctors. They began going over everything with me, the risks, the recovery time, the surgery. And I stopped them. You know what? I said, in my most supportive sister voice. I'd like to have this conversation with everyone. With my sister and my parents. So we're all on the same page. This is a family decision. The doctors, they thought this was a great, wonderful, supportive idea. What a wonderful family you have, one of them said. We all went to Brenda's room. My parents were already there, fluttering around her bed, plumping her pillows. The doctor began explaining the situation. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said Brenda had maybe 6 months, max, without a transplant. Her kidneys were gone. They went over the process with all of us, and they made a huge deal about how perfect of a match I was. The likelihood of finding a more viable donor is minuscule, the head doctor said. You are, frankly, her only real shot. The sooner we schedule the surgery, the better. The compatibility it's as good as it gets. Brenda was looking at me, from her bed. Her eyes all big and watery. Hopeful. My parents were beaming at me. My mother was actually crying with relief. Like I was their savior. like I was, finally, being a good daughter. I then walked over to Brenda. I took her hand. It was cold and clammy. I gazed right into her big, brown, hopeful eyes. And I told her, "Did you hear that, Brenda? I am a perfect match." She started to cry, nodding. Yes, thank you, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd. Essentially, I continued, my voice perfectly calm and light, I'm the only person in the world who can save you. Her watery smile, it was so pathetic. And I'm not going to. Her face, it broke. The hope, it just, poof. Gone. It was replaced by a confusion so deep, it was almost funny. What? She whispered. You, I said, leaning in closer, my voice dropping, are the most vile, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would know. So you would know, in your heart, that the one person who could keep you alive, is the one person you have wronged the most. And now you're paying for that. With your life. I squeezed her hand, hard. You're going to die, Brenda. You should make peace with that. Brenda burst into tears. Not sad tears. Screaming, hysterical sobs. No! No! You can't. You can't do this. My parents, they turned on me, their faces purple with rage. How could you? My mother shrieked. You monster. You. Bitch. The doctor and the nurse, they were just standing there in total, absolute shock. Their mouths were wide open. I looked at my parents. I'd waited my whole life for this. Don't even talk to me, I said, my voice dangerously low. And don't you dare ever ask me for anything, ever again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral. Under the stipulation that you be cremated and the ashes released to me. My mother gasped, her hand at her throat. At which point, I finished, I will promptly deposit your remains in the dirtiest, most disgusting public John the First can find. If you're still listening, if you're still here with me, please help me out by liking this video and commenting the number 1 down below. It lets me know you're amazing, and it tells me you've been with me on this whole journey. Your support is a huge encouragement and it keeps me going. Please, comment the number 1 so I can see you, and now, let me tell you what happened next. Finished. I looked at the doctor and the nurse. I'm sorry you had to see that. I will not be donating. I am leaving. I walked out of the room. I never looked back. I walked out of the hospital, got in my rental car, and drove straight to the airport. I'm back home now. My real home. In Minnesota. The flight, it was the most peaceful flight of my life. I felt light. I felt free. The weight of my entire childhood, my entire first marriage, it was just gone. I walked in the door to my house, and my 2 beautiful boys ran at me, screaming, "Mommy! Mommy's home!" My husband, my wonderful Mitchell, was right behind them. He wrapped his arms around all of us, burying his face in my hair. "It's done," I whispered into his chest. "I know," he said. "Welcome home. I am surrounded by my real family. My in-laws, my husband, my children. And I couldn't be happier. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It feels good to finally get it all out. To just say it. If you've ever been through anything like this, if you've ever dealt with a toxic family or a betrayal that just cut you to the bone, please know you're not alone. And you can build a new life. You can find your real family. You deserve happiness. You deserve peace. Please, if you have a story, or just want to show some support, leave a comment below. I read them. I really do. And please like and share this video. It helps more than you know. I'll see you next time.